Hey, I wanted to share just this idea with you that might be able to give you a little bit of an extra boost, a little bit of confidence. I was thinking this morning about, well, really just having a moment of gratitude, how lucky and fortunate I am. Of course, COVID was a giant dumpster fire and in 2020, and none of us could really travel. But in 2021, we're lucky enough that things are starting to open back up, and I'm attending a conference for furthering my education and my understanding of how things work in the market. But just the ability of being able to travel, being able to see things and do things, it's a blessing. It's fun. It's refreshing. And the one thing that has allowed me, and the same thing that allows you to do the things that you want to do whenever you want to do them, is income. And I know that I talk about income all the time. I talk about income and I'm passionate about it because I understand that income is the thing that allows us to be able to do all the things that we want to do. But oftentimes people, tell me about how they're investing, and they say, well, I'm not investing for income. I don't need to invest for income right now because I want to grow. I can appreciate that. Over the course of time, Wall Street and financial advisors and the financial services industry has taught us that if we want growth, we have to be able to focus on those equities, those growth stocks that are trending. But the math would say something different. 40 years ago, they started an analysis, a study, and they took the S&P 500, which we know is the Fortune 500 index, and they divided that index. I'll give you a really cool terminology. They bifurcated the S&P 500, meaning that they divided it in two different sections, and they categorized it. We've got this section over here that paid dividends, and we got this section over here that pays no dividends. And they put $100,000 into each one of those categories of stocks, of equities. And then they track them. Now, in 2019, they looked at the balances, so 39 years later, essentially. The stocks that had no dividends, that account had grown 17 and a half times. That's pretty amazing. It had grown from $100,000 to $1.7 million. That's astounding. However, the dividend-paying equities, that account had grown 52 times. It was now worth $5.2 million. That's amazing. And when people say, well, I want to invest for growth, the three reasons that people invest for income, the reason that they choose to pursue either interest or dividends or a combination of both, which I'm a fan of, is really there's three primary reasons. Reason number one is they need the income. That's a pretty good reason to pursue investing for the income. Number two is they want to reduce the risk. Why would getting paid a dividend, why would getting paid interest, why would that reduce the risk? The reason it reduces the risk is because it helps to smooth out the waves that those equities might be experiencing. I can have equities that are down in value, but if I'm still getting paid my dividend, that helps to make the pain a little less. Now, think about it in this way. If you've ever had a 401k and you had a matching program in that 401k, this is what dividends do for us. They help us to dollar cost average. It's the value of the stock that we own plus the value of the dividend that we got paid. I'm a shareholder. I'm taking on the risk. I want to get paid for taking the risk. So you see, when I get paid dividends, it reduces my risk. Plus, historically, we see the dividends and corporations that pay dividends to their shareholders, they develop more price stability. They have shareholder loyalty. Why? Because they know that those shareholders are looking forward to that dividend that they have a history of paying. So the second reason that we invest for income is because we want less risk. The third reason that we want dividends is because it helps us grow. We are able to look at the math and see that 100,000 with zero dividends still performs well. It goes up 17 times, 17 and a half times. No one could complain about 100,000 turning in $1.7 million. However, if I can take less risk and I can have the outcome of 52 times the growth because I constantly have those dividends flowing in, now guess what? I'm going to be much happier with that. I'm going to have less risk. I'm going to have the income that I need, and I'm going to have more growth over the course of time. So as I said, the math doesn't lie. And today, we know that more so than ever, we have more people that are near retirement. This generation of people, they're to that point where they're getting ready to retire. Maybe they just have retired. Maybe you've just retired. Or maybe you're preparing for it and you're thinking, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to get the income that I need? So many of us take this idea of income not so seriously until all of a sudden we realize we're without a paycheck. And now the tables have turned, and now it's a totally different issue. And we're trying to compute in our mind, how are we going to create this income? Well, if you have dividend income, if you have interest income, if you have a combination of both, now instead of having to sell your shares and instead of having to ride that wave and determine how many shares you have to sell this particular month based upon the price of your shares, now you can avoid that. Now you can have true income production. You can pair that with your Social Security. You can pair that with your pension if you have one. You can pair that with rental income if you're fortunate enough to have that. And guess what? You don't have to worry about your principal and where it's going to go and if it's going to last you, because you're truly investing for income and you're creating income the right way. So just a thought, just a little something that I thought I would pass along that I think is valuable to you, and something that maybe you could begin to consider and understand the value and why millions upon millions upon millions of investors over the course of the last 2 centuries have focused on investing for income. Why it's so important and why it still is in existence today and why people still do it today. They want more income, they want less risk, and they want more growth. So have a great day. We'll catch you on the next one.